Looking on Pelicans Kings. Zion Williamson just checked back into the game. He's got 22 points in this game, only 1 rebound, but you know, he's putting the ball in the basket. Brian's going to point out to you that he's a -10 for this game, but you know, he's a rookie. Come on.
You know,
what do you see
Rachel,
here?
a lot of people sleep on the footwork. They just see a big guy who's moving fast toward the basket. But his footwork is impeccable, how he creates space for himself. Really advanced for a kid that age.
Do the Kings know he's left-handed? Because none of those highlights showed that they did.
He's really left-handed, unlike Ben Simmons? Is that what you're saying?
No. I mean, the real thing here, the Pelicans are shooting over 60% in this game, and you can see the score.
Yes.
That's them in a nutshell. They just can't defend right now, and that's Zion in a nutshell. He's awesome on offense, and right now he's just not good on defense, and the whole team is that way.
Do you think
Rachel,
go ahead.
I was going to say, just being off for a long time for everybody. If you look across the bubble, most of the teams defensively haven't been impressive because you can't practice team defense, right? When you're by yourself at home or even doing individual workouts. The rotations, the schemes, the communication, these are all rusty. And for a team that wasn't elite defensively to begin with, like the Pelicans, it's darn near fatal.
Well, look, Zion now 22 points. He's 10 for 11 from the floor. When you talk about his individual defense, I mean, do you think that that's more a result of, hey, he's a rookie, he's still learning how this works, or do you think that's a conditioning issue that the team is obviously still working him back up?
All of the above. I think he's out of shape, but I also think there's a mental rust that's going on there, as I said, from being off for so long and not practicing this. And part of that is youth. Usually young players, it's very rare for a young player to come in and be a great defensive player. We look at Matisse Thybulle and we're like, wow, he really gets it. But he's also like he was a 3rd year or 4th year player in college, so he's got some experience under him. It's stuff like this just takes time to absorb.
Yeah, my guess is he'll play a little bit more here and then sit, and then if it's still a game in the last 5 minutes, they'll bring him back. If it's not, if they don't close the gap, he'll be done for the day.
Going to be very interesting to see how they play this with Memphis still winless here in the bubble. Memphis could just drop out. Forget like someone trying to catch them for a play-in game. Memphis could just drop out of the 8th or 9th seed overall. We could see the Pelicans and Blazers. We could see the Spurs. We could see quite the combination in this play-in game. It's going to be so interesting. All right, I want to get you back to the Spurs and their legendary head coach, Greg Popovich. Take a listen to what he had to say about Nikola Jokic last night.
Jokic, he's like a reincarnation of Larry Bird. He does everything. He's amazing.
Oh, yeah. If you got soul, raise your right fist, let everybody know. Give it all you got, don't fight the feeling. So that next record definitely in the building.
Pop calling Jokic a reincarnation of Larry Legend. Now, I do want to note Larry was 3 inches shorter, played a completely different position, but you know, anyone who has watched them both play does know what Pop meant by making that comparison. Also, I'm like 90% sure that Pop was talking about comparing Jokic to Bird as a player as opposed to as a tomato, but I can't say for sure.
Well done.
No, I don't get it, but
that'll be funny for years.
Brian, Jokic might play like Larry Bird, but will he win like Larry Bird? What do you think?
I was stunned to hear this quote. I thought it was a joke. I thought he wasn't being serious because Greg Popovich.
You thought it was about the tomato. Don't lie. That's what you thought.
I just have never. Pop doesn't throw around stuff like that. When he says something, it is meaningful. And you know, as a passer, Larry Bird was a brilliant passer, and Nikola Jokic is one of the best big men passers the game has ever seen. So I see that. It's an incredible compliment. My God, I don't totally see it. You know, he later compared him to Moses Malone as well. Maybe that's closer because they're both centers. The one thing I'll say about this, when Larry Bird had to get a basket, he got it. And the future of the Denver Nuggets in many ways is tied to whether Nikola Jokic can get a basket when the Nuggets need it. And if he can do that, then he may be a Hall of Fame player. But I'm still a little bit at loss for words about that comparison.
Yeah, I think I'm going to reserve the right to disagree with the great Popovich on this one. Other than the passing and being white, I don't see the comparison there. Let's be honest. He's a big white guy who passes really well. But like Brian said, Larry Bird was a ruthless scorer. He wasn't just an aggressive scorer. He was ruthless. He put 40 on you, told you where he was going to put the 40 on you, and then after he did it, he let you know, hey, by the way, I put 40 on you. And he did it with a lot more colorful language. A lot more colorful language that I'm using right now. And Nikola Jokic doesn't fit any of that descriptor. If I had to pick one guy in the league, I would go with another white guy. Luka Doncic is way more of a Larry Bird because he's got the passing, but he's also got the scoring, the shooting, and most importantly, the mouth. The ability to let you know, I'm better than you. You can't do nothing about this whooping that's coming your way.
All right, so maybe he was talking about the tomato. It's entirely possible listening to you two guys. I don't know. I do want to stick with the Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr. scored 30 in that game against the Spurs. That came just 2 days after he posted his career high of 37 against the Thunder. So, Amin, how does this change the Nuggets offense moving forward?
Well, I mean, it definitely escalates it if this is something that he can do consistently. And that's why, Rachel, I want to say pump the brakes. I think Michael Porter Jr. has a world of talent. I think in a year or two, he might be their best or the second best player on that Nuggets team, and they'll be competing for championships. But right now, this is a guy in his rookie year who's had 2 great games. And I shudder that people are going to expect this of him because once he gets to the playoffs, which will be his first time doing it, it's a different ball game. And while I expect him to continue to have these types of performances here or there, I don't think we're quite yet at the point where we can expect it of him on a nightly basis.
Well, you know, Mike Malone, his coach yesterday, got all angry because he was like, I couldn't believe he was not in the Rising Stars game, which is a heck of a callback, like 6 months later. But here's my question to Mike Malone. When you get your players back, because he's been missing 3 starters, are you going to leave Michael Porter Jr. in the starting lineup? Because he's played his way into an interesting situation here. He's been a spot starter and been huge for them because they've been depleted. Do you trust him enough to play him at the front line in a playoff game? I agree with Amin. You know, Mike Malone hasn't trusted him throughout the season. He's yanked him out of the lineup time and time again. Is this something that we trust? I mean, this has actually become a bit of a dilemma. I mean, the Nuggets would like to have it because it means their starters are healthy and ready to go. But it's actually thrown a curveball into what they want to do. But this is their future. I said this the other day. They want Nikola Jokic and having the floor stretched by Porter to be the future of this front court. And we're seeing it happen right here in Orlando.
We will find out. All right, guys, coming up, we're going to look ahead to tonight's matchup with a few rounds of jump ball. We will talk about who is a tougher matchup for Luka, Kawhi, or Paul George. We will discuss that. And look at a little Chris Paul here, too.
You know, it's nice because a lot of times during the season, it's just a good luck on your next game and you're moving and going. But